Hello. Once again, it's time to talk about the haves and the have-nots. The lucky people in their little preppy enclaves, and the rest of us who deal with no life at all. Because SouthShore12 has been ignoring some important stories, and they're getting called out again because guess where they were all over today? The South Shore again. And, this really pissed me off. When a man steals a package in Babylon, it's front page news. But when it happens in the middle of the island, they don't even give it down. They don't even give it down. But we're going to first talk about the transit crime that they haven't spoken about. And this here is very serious. And this was not covered at all on the news. I only have this Facebook post to show you. This happened on April 9th. Well, it says yesterday, so it happened on April 8th. The Port Jefferson Fire Department, L1 and R7, was requested by the Suffolk County Police Department for a person on top of an eastbound MTA Long Island Railroad train. That's right, so the subway surfing, now they're trying to do it on the Long Island Railroad. I don't get it. I don't know what the hell this was about. The male subject drove his personal vehicle down the tracks from the crossing at Main Street in Port Jefferson before exiting his vehicle and climbing on top of the train. So, unable to get down on his own, he had to be rescued, of course. So, that's what they were called for the rescue. And this is why the Port Jefferson branch was suspended east of Stony Brook on April 8th. You can see the pictures here. This is a big deal. Somebody climbed on top of an eastbound Long Island Railroad train, and this looks like... I'm trying to figure out where that crossing is. So we're going to go to Google Maps and take a look at this. And again, no coverage at all from the snobs at SouthShore12. They don't care. So Main Street. Got to find Main Street. This is not Main Street. Got to find the Main Street crossing. I'm not sure where that is. We're outside of Port Jefferson here, so they're saying Main Street. This is Route 25A. Is that considered Main Street? I don't know. They said Main Street crossing. It's not Columbia Street, so where could it be? So, well, we have to look at the pictures and kind of see. You see that there's woods in the background, and there's a grade crossing. I'm thinking it's this unnamed street here. I think it's this street right here. Off sheep pasture. Yeah, it's probably this crossing right here. So, he got onto an eastbound train. Don't ask me how he got onto it while it was moving. I do not know how that happened. But not a lot of details in this story. But you do see the pictures here. So the fire department had to come. Oh, he drove his car on the tracks too, apparently. So he drove his car on the tracks and then climbed on top of a train. Very disturbing. Very, very, very disturbing. To think that this was not covered at all in the media, it just shows you just how... Look, I can't stand Donald Trump, but he was one thing... The one thing he was right about, a lot of the media, a lot of them are fake news. It's news for fake people. Because this is what affects real people, and they don't cover it. They only want to cover what affects, the snobs on the South Shore. And they never even bothered with this. So, this could have turned out a lot worse. Luckily, it didn't turn out too bad. But there's another story that happened, another transit crime that I just found out about. And this was a robbery in East Garden City. Let's see. This was also barely covered on SouthShore12. If we go to the crime part here, you'll see Elmont man arrested for assaulting someone on a nice bus. So here we go. We got transit crime going on. Of course, only 21 seconds. Let's listen to Erin Colton's snobby want-all voice because she's the one.
Arrest after police say he robbed a man on a nice bus.
Yeah, I wish you had to be on that nice bus, Erin. She has no idea what bus riders go through.
Detectives say Nahima Taylor assaulted the victim and then stole his cell phone. This was yesterday in Garden City. The 30-year-old allegedly got off the bus and then ran off towards the Roosevelt Field Mall, where police found and arrested him. He's facing robbery and weapons charges. The victim was taken to the hospital for treatment.
And he was probably released. But that's all that gets. I think that's a pretty big deal. Happened in broad daylight, robbery on a bus, an assault, And no, it only gets 21 seconds. And I'm sure if it happened in the South Shore, they'd be all over it, right? They'd be all over it. So this is the release from the Nassau County Police. So this happened at 630 Old Country Road for a robbery. The victim was traveling on the nice bus when this happened. The defendant, Nehemiah Taylor, 30, of 1519 Hempstead Turnpike in Elmont. You all know Elmont has gone down the tubes and is really almost just as dangerous as Jamaica now. Assaulted a victim by striking him with a blunt object and then stole his cell phone. The defendant then exited the bus and fled on foot northbound toward Roosevelt Field. The officers canvassed the area, located the defendant, and arrested him without incident. Defendant Taylor was charged with robbery, first-degree criminal possession of weapon, fourth degree, and he was arraigned today. But the question was he released or not? I bet he was released. Back out on the streets again. You want to make a bet? Probably on no bail. So, yeah, this happened on a night. It's a big deal. Transit crime. Right? It just brings me back to the time I was attacked. It could have turned out a lot worse. Of course, that didn't make the news at all, but this is, at least this was covered somewhat. I mean, but I have these violent people riding transportation that shouldn't be riding public transportation. So what happened in front of 630 Old Country Road? Let's see. That is 600 Old Country Road. So, and that's 666 Old Country Road. So I don't know where 630 Old Country Road is. We'll have to put 630 Old Country Road in, because we're trying to narrow down what bus route it was. Oh, it's the mall. So it happened at the mall. While this was on the bus. Nothing good ever happens at this mall. Nothing good ever happens at Roosevelt Field. But it's not like Preppy Erin Colton cares. No, because she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's in her own little world. Look at her. She's from Wansaw. She's one of the snobs. She's exactly the kind of people you find on the South Shore. You know, they just live the privileged life. They don't know what it's like to suffer. They don't have to deal with any of this stuff. They're in their own little world. So that's all the coverage this got. So you might want to know, well, what are they talking about today? Well, what are they talking about? Obviously the storm, but yeah, a package was stolen in Babylon. And of course, that gets coverage, right? But when a package is stolen somewhere else, they don't cover it. But no, because it happened in Babylon. Oh, stop the presses.
Well,
those people,
exclusive.
they're scared now. They got to worry about crime. What about all the crap the rest of us have been going through for years? Now it's starting to spread to the South Shore, so now they notice?
If you are an online shopper, you will be furious after seeing this. A homeowner says her box of new iPhones was taken by a man who showed up at her house. As News 12's crime reporter Krista McNally reports.
So the man actually showed up at her house and claimed to be her, and then the FedEx guy just let him sign it for her, which is ridiculous. I think FedEx is to blame here. I mean, they should not have they should make sure that it's the person that it's delivering signing it.
That man signed for the package and just walked away.
It was so brazen of this man to just walk right up to my property.
She's got the voice.
Natalie Mendolia says a man she didn't know walked up to a delivery person at her house on East Court, signed for a package, took it, and walked away.
I ran out and I see somebody, the FedEx man said that the guy just signed for the package and ran off.
What guy? What guy?
The person is then seen
Another
in this
FedEx
surveillance
guy
video quickly walking toward a nearby restaurant.
Got away.
He ran around the restaurant parking lot, ducked
FedEx
down,
guy should
and
have
ran
chased
to his
him
car
down.
that was parked on the corner of my block.
Mendolia said the man then hopped in a white car and sped off north down Fire Island Avenue. Inside the box, $6,000 worth of electronics.
It was iPhones,
She's got a lot of money, $6,000. These people are loaded.
so who would know an expensive item, and there was 4 of them in there.
As News 12 has reported, similar crimes have been reported in Plainview, Greenlawn, and Massapequa Park over the past year.
Yeah, that's right. The middle of the island has been going through this for the past couple of years. Where have you been? But because it affects the South Shore, well, stop the presses. The preppy white people are now scared.
Mendolia tells us FedEx is investigating, and she is hoping to get her money back. She says the most important thing is that no one was hurt and that neighbors are aware.
I wanted to make awareness that there's mail fraud going on in our town.
In Babylon, Krista McNally, News 12 Long Island.
Well, guess what? You know the middle of the island, we're full of poop now. We're so full of poop, it's now spilling over into your area. How do you feel, huh? All right, so this is what it is. And if you go to News 12 and you look up News 12, Long Island package theft, and we'll show you some of the other stories because they barely covered it. Let's see if they find. All right, man wanted for stealing package from Holbrook home. Yeah. Oh, only 15 seconds. Holbrook's not important. Sorry, it's middle of the island. We don't care. Let's see. Let's see if they covered this one properly. Or that one they did cover properly. All right, so they did. Oh, because it happened in Massapequa Park. Of course. If it happens on the South Shore, they cover it. But if it happens in the middle of the island, they don't care. Here's another one they barely covered. Residents, string of car thefts reported in North Babylon and West Babylon. Barely covered, only 32 seconds. Why? North Babylon and West Babylon, well, that's too far north. Those aren't really preppy little white areas. It's not the village of Babylon, so they're not important. They're not going to get a report.
Towns asking for our help after a string of car thefts. We've learned at least 4 vehicles were recently stolen in North Babylon and West Babylon. Here's a woman who had 2 cars stolen in the same night.
That's insane.
It was the worst possible feeling. You feel violated. We're hardworking, tax-paying citizens, and we're just trying to raise our family and do right things, and it's just awful.
And we'll have the exclusive story on this tonight on the news at 10.
Okay, so maybe they'll cover that a little more. But, of course, it happened close to Babylon, so they're going to cover it. So this happened on Powell Court in North Babylon. And one of the cars turned up abandoned in Wyandanch. And the problem with Northwest Babylon, and a lot of areas are called West Babylon. And you think, when most people think West Babylon, they think of, this area here. All right? But no, West Babylon actually goes all the way up to over here and almost right next to Wyandanch. So there are parts of West Babylon that look more like Wyandanch than like Babylon. So it's not a surprise. It's more of a middle-class part of Babylon. All right? So at least they covered that, and that'll be coming up later. But let's go here. But, of course, if it has Babylon in the name, they'll be covering it. If that string of car thefts happened in Mineola, or in Westbury, and New Hyde Park, they might not cover it at all. They might not cover it. And then the other thing is this. Amityville schools. They've been all over this now. Amityville schools, which is the South Shore. But it's not all a rich district, but they're in such financial trouble because of Hochul and the budget cuts and the way state aid is distributed that they may consider closing a school.
Many parents want answered from Amityville schools. The district overspent its budget by millions of dollars. That's according to an independent audit.
So they mismanaged the school district.
Now painful cuts are coming. At the same time, it wants to raise next year's budget. Investigative reporter Rachel Young-Kunis joins us live with what she found. In Rachel, there have been persistent financial issues in this
2 minutes and 30 seconds it gets. Wyandanch has also had financial issues, but they don't seem to cover that the same way.
There have, Joe, and yet school board members told parents.
You got to understand, part of Amityville is part of it is full of a lot of white, preppy little white, those people.
That they did not know about any of the financial problems until last fall. But we found multiple
but you got to be with those people
that
if you want to
document
matter.
A clear pattern of fiscal distress.
That's the problem.
I still don't know what you're talking about. I still don't know where the money is.
Outrage and confusion over how the Amityville School District is handling taxpayer money. The district is considering substantial cuts after overspending last year's budget by $3.6 million.
This board was not aware of any financial problems until the middle of November.
Team 12 Investigates reveals the Amityville School District has had an independent audit done every year since 2017. According to those audits, in 2017 and 18, the district
Amityville is a heavily segregated school district.
Overestimated revenues. In 2019, general funds decreased due to overspending. In 2021, the district overspent by $2.4 million. And at the end of 2023, its general fund balance was
so they're not saying it, but they plan on closing a school,
$8.2 million less than the year before. We asked every board member how they could reasonably say they didn't know the district was in fiscal distress. None of them responded.
They think they're above answering to anybody, and the taxpayers have a right to know what's going on.
The district is cutting jobs and potentially programs, but it also wants to raise the budget by nearly 7%. The district says it's projecting higher costs for employee benefits and summer school. Team 12 Investigates reveals it also wants to allocate more money for the school board, district clerk, and district meetings.
It deserves deliberation. It deserves community input.
Now, we did reach out to the state education department about these concerns. A spokesperson tells me that they have been closely monitoring the situation, including issues with the district's educational...
They didn't even mention it in this story, but this is the other story that they had. They have planned they could close the northeast...
In Amityville, the district is proposing even more cuts.
Get this, another 2-minute and 30-second story. Why did it just stop? You know, I just had my lights flicker, and now it seems like the News 12 story has stopped playing. But it says here that they plan on closing the Northeast schools. Really annoying. What's going on with the internet here? There it goes.
Long Island's Caroline Flynn is outside
Storm isn't
Northeast
even here
Elementary
yet.
with what else is potentially on the chopping block. A lot going on in this district, Caroline.
Tara, a whole lot is going on in this district, and parents learned last night with teachers and community members that because the budget is looming so close, that final budget being due, it seems really anything and everything is on the table in order to balance it. And what they learned last night, that includes a school building, Northeast, the school behind me here.
The Northeast school. So they want to close the Northeast school in Amityville. And what has been left out of the story is why they want to close the Northeast school. So I'll show you where the Northeast school is here. This is it right here. All right, this is the Northeast school. So a lot of the kids that go to this part of Amityville is North Amityville, which is mostly lower income and people of color. Of course, they're going to close the school in their area. All right, you can see how look at the school. I mean, it doesn't look very big at all. It's pretty small and probably very insufficient for the amount of kids that are in this area. All right? And then there's Northwest, which is over here. And then they're probably going to move everybody into Northwest. It's going to be jammed up. So this is Northwest Elementary School over here. All right? This isn't a big building either. Again, this serves the northern part of Amityville, the less wealthy part of Amityville, where more people of color live. But of course, the Park Avenue Elementary School, no, that won't close. And take a look at the Park Avenue Elementary Schools. This is the Park Avenue. Oh, it's a big fancy building because this is South Amityville. This is where the preppy white people live. Look at that fancy building that they get. I mean, it's so obvious what's going on here. I mean, it's just out and out racism. And how did they get away with this? Long Island is unbelievably racist. Easily the most racist place in the entire country, I think, is Long Island. I really do. I really do. There was always racism on Long Island, but it has gotten so much worse. I mean, look at this big elementary school here. All right? Look at this big elementary school that they have here. All right? So you can see how the white people are treated in the south part of Amityville. The south part of Amityville is fancy. I'll take you down some of these streets. It's a certain demographic over here. All right? See how nicely kept the streets are? It looks totally different than the north part. Right? Because a certain demographic is here. All right? You know, that's what it is. It's all about a certain demographic. It's unbelievable. It really, truly is unbelievable. So yeah, very fancy over here. Just look at one other street here. Homes aren't that big, but the property sizes are very large. Yeah, you can see some of these big fancy homes. Here you go. I mean, it's fancy over here, right? You got a lot of money, all right, that live over here, all right? See how well kept everything is compared to the north part, all right? You know, I mean, it's so obvious. Look at this house here. I mean, it's so obvious what's going on. So we'll play this story a little more here, so you can.
The littlest will go.
Of course, they only interview the white people. I love it. They don't go to the north part of Amityville. They only interview the white people. I mean, it's sickening.
In the 25-26 school year, as long as it's open.
Faith Robinson said she was shocked to learn pre-K at Northeast might not be an option for her 5th child. Closing a school, one of several options the Amityville School District is weighing to make up for a major budget deficit. Also being considered, more teacher cuts, troubling news to her family.
That was discouraging because I know that my kids are having a hard time in both of those buildings. So to lose more people that they look up to or they reach out to was hard to see as a solution.
And on top of that, what makes going to school fun for most kids, clubs, sports, and even field trips may be no.
There are a lot of school districts facing these cuts, but they only cover Amityville.
All around, like going to Washington, D.C., going to Philadelphia, and we can't even go to the farm, 3 towns over.
Marquise Gordon is a parent and spouse of a staff member at Northeast. Looming job cuts and the school potentially closing have been tough on his family.
The stress is crazy. It's scary.
As an alumnus of Amityville schools, though, like Robinson, he's feeling a lot of disappointment at the experience his children are getting compared to his.
The fact that they're saying that a whole school is going to close because of the budget is outlandish. I've never heard anything like it.
It's just another way to force people out. That's what it is.
And what parents are asking for going forward is certainly more transparency, but answers as well. They want to know why they're not seeing any cuts when it comes to top jobs like administrators in the schools, as they feel what's on the table right now is really mainly affecting their families and, most importantly, their children.
So a lot of schools have been having to face, Sachem's having to face cuts. But, this all has to do with one thing. I'm going to put this right on the screen for you. And, I'll put it in yellow, because that's where the license plate is, where we're all going to wind up having to go live. The plan. That's what it all has to do with, forcing us out. Everything I've spoken about here has to do with forcing us out. The crime, the cost of living, the declining quality of life. Only a certain group of people seem to matter. The rest of us don't seem to matter. And it's a small group of people. The snobs, they're the minority of people on Long Island. But they think they're the majority. And that's what's going on. And it's all just part of the plan to force us out. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan to force us out. I'm going to go to Daily Voice and see if we missed anything else with the crime. Let's see, here's a crime here. Man stealing crimes after he was caught swiping money from a co-worker's purse. So this incident actually happened in Wanzo. I'm sorry they haven't covered it yet. I'm sure they'll be right on it. So he worked at Merrick Jeep Chrysler Dodge, located at 3614 Sunrise Highway. This guy then fled the scene on the foot, and he was later nabbed near the intersection of Oakland Avenue and Locust Avenue. He is from Freeport, and he's responsible for additional incidents, including larcenies and endangering the welfare of a child. He's probably released. I'm sorry they haven't covered that, but I'm sure they will be on it. We got an oil thief. They didn't cover this either. Queensman, cooking oil was stolen. And it happened in Oceanside, too. That was also on the South Shore. So the crime is spilling over to the South Shore. All right? But when it happens to them, it's going to get mentioned. It's going to get covered. It's going to get addressed. But when it happens in the middle of the island, we don't matter. In the middle of the island, we are flooded with poop. It's like an overflowing toilet of crap that we have here. All right? We'll just draw the brown color here. Just an overflowing toilet of crap here, right, that we've got here, all right? You know, overflowing. So much so that it's now spilling over. And it's spilling down to the South Shore a little bit. And, of course, it's been spilling to the North Shore a little more. But it's spilling because when you have a major, major problem and you have an area that is flooded with this garbage, all right, it can only fit so much garbage before it starts spilling over. And the snobs ought to start caring about the problems in the middle of the island because now they've come to their neighborhood too. All right? I had to deal with a homeless person in Belmore today. All right? Just one instance of it. All right? But, you know, if they're going to continue to think that, you know, continue to ignore the obvious. And sadly, Long Island is being ruined. The whole state is being ruined. The whole state of New York is being ruined because of the governor we have, Governor Kathy Hochul. All right? And, you know, yeah, this one right here. This one right here. She's destroying the state. Oh, and the state budget's late again, too. You know, social justice. That's also social justice. I mean, look at who she stands for, all right? She's a limousine liberal, man. Look at she's with that guy. I mean, really. They want to set they want to set the criminals free. And yes, Kathy Hochul, you're making the Democratic Party look bad. That's why the Democrats have had problems in New York. All right? You're going to actually help Trump. All right? I can't stand Donald Trump, but you're going to help him. Because you're making the Democrats in New York look like limousine liberals. Because that's what the Democratic Party is in New York. Limousine liberals. And it's all, again, designed to just drive us out. It's all designed to drive us out. And, you know, they're going to have their little enclaves on the South Shore. Sometimes the crime's going to spill over, and they're going to cry and freak out about it, and SouthShore12 will be there. But, you know, for the rest of us, it's not. We're going to be forgotten. And, of course, they'll continue to get all the investment. Here's the weather report here. Here's South Shore Sam again. Yeah, it doesn't want to play again. I don't know what's going on. I think my computer's had enough of it, to be honest with you. But it's just all about the South Shore. Let's see where this was taken. Yeah, it seems like we're having internet problems now all of a sudden. So, that's nice. Come on. I wanted to see what that other story was about. There it goes. So, Long Island Association Optum, the parent announced they will be awarding grants to 50 small businesses on Long Island. Oh, and let me guess where. Let's see where they are.
Why Optimum, the parent company of News 12, is teaming up with the Long Island Association Foundation to help out. News 12's Kurt Semder has more on a program designed to help not just the business, but the surrounding community as well.
This is Leah calling you back from Westbury Floral Designs.
Leah D'Angelo Allen has owned Westbury Floral Designs for over a decade.
They're in the middle of the island.
She, like so many other small business owners, was hit hard by the pandemic.
Losing all of our weddings and special events for 2.5 years really took a toll on the business. I'm in debt with pretty much most of.
And that's the reason. Like I said, the pandemic shutdowns caused a lot of problems. You know, the pandemic shutdowns were another way to drive us out. So at least they covered this. But you notice mostly it's all the South Shore. So there you go. I got a storm to talk about. So once again, and again, really serious this crime going on transit, whether it be the Long Island Railroad, Nice Bus, New York City Transit. We'll go to 1010 winds. I'm sure something else happened on the subway today. Let's see. I'm sure there'll be another. Hochul will attend glitzy White House state dinner for Japan. So, I mean, she's a limousine liberal. I mean, look at this woman. How about fixing New York State's problems? This is what I mean. You're making the Democrats look bad. You're making the Democrats look bad. That's all I can say. And because of this is going to help Trump. And God help us if Trump gets elected. But Hochul, you're helping him. You don't see it? It's so obvious, man. Anyway, like I said, it's all part of the plan to drive us out. Maybe not just to drive us out of Long Island, but out of the country, maybe. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.